everyone, and welcome to Seller Mobile TV. Today we're going to be talking about cart abandonment. That is when someone, puts something in their cart and then just sort of leaves it there and doesn't complete the purchase. And there's lots of different reasons for that, right? So they're either window shopping, they're doing price comparisons, they want to do some more research, they aren't really, they want to save the item for later, they aren't really sure about it. But I've got good news. I've got a very special guest with me here today who is going to share some tactics and solutions of what to do to, get buyers to successfully complete that purchase. I have been in e-commerce for a long time, and this is definitely an issue that, we had. So, we were doing 8 figures in revenue before we started Seller Mobile, when we started using some of these tactics to sort of focus on customers who were abandoning their cart, we saw a significant increase in revenue. And so I think that this is just really good information. This is very relevant to Seller Mobile customers. We've got 20,000 users who do just a plethora of different things on Amazon and have their own e-commerce platforms. So if you have your own e-commerce platform on top of Amazon, where you are either using Magento or Shopify or WooCommerce, or there's so many other marketplaces that sort of this applies to, then this video is very, very important for you. If you are only doing Amazon FBA and have no aspirations to do anything other than that, then at this moment in your journey, this isn't so relevant to you. So let me introduce our very special guest. I've got Matt Wiese with me here. Matt, you are the director of global sales at CardStack.
Yes.
CardStack has been around for 8 years now, and you shared some really, really significant statistics with me before we got on the call, which is you guys have over 5,000 active sites that you work with. And just last year, in 2019 alone, you recovered $157 million for your customers. And you said your average conversion rate for abandoned carts is about 12 to 18%. Which is significant, which is really significant. So without further ado, Matt, tell us what we need to know about, undoing some of that and what we can do, to recover some of that money that's left on the table with cart abandonment.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me today, Deb. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, cart abandonment is, has been around for a while, as we all know, and there's been a lot of different strategies around that for a while. But we're seeing a continued increase in cart abandonment, and I think part of the reason for that is as time has gone on, we've been continuing to try to be better at multitasking. And even though it's difficult to multitask, a lot of us try to. And we continue year over year to continue to get more and more marketing messages, and we're inundated with so many distractions on a day-to-day basis. In this time period that we're at right now, with more people working from home, that's even more complicated, especially when you've got multiple priorities that you're trying to accomplish at the exact same time. So cart abandonment it's a natural thing when you've got a purchase intention to buy whatever it might be, or to check out on a hotel website. It's a natural thing to abandon the process, especially if you're looking maybe at multiple products at the same time for comparisons, or you've just got a baby running around and you're getting emails and phone calls and whatever. So cart abandonment is a solution to really try to recover as many potential lost sales and lost customers as possible through several different types of campaigns. There's a lot of different things you can do out there to recover those people. The big one is really right now is the email cart abandonment, and that's really where most sites recover most of their customers. But SMS is really growing right now too, just with the increase in mobile traffic on e-commerce sites. So I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to share my screen just to point out a few things. So this is a statistic based on the past several years of research. In general, for every, let's say, 100 people that go to a website, 90 people are just going to browse and end up leaving and not even get into the purchase flow. So 90% are just going to leave. Of the 10% of people that go to an e-commerce website, 75% of those on average are going to abandon their cart. So they get far enough where they're starting to pick out items, and 75% of those are going to abandon. So if you put numbers to this, out of every 100 people that go to an e-commerce website, on average, 2 or 3 of those people are going to make a purchase, and the rest are going to be just bouncing and abandoning the cart. So there's some huge opportunities there to recover those potential lost sales. I'm an Amazon seller myself. I also have my own e-commerce site. And selling on your own site, it's even more important to be able to take advantage of strategies like this, because sometimes people will be doing their research on Amazon, but then they'll go to your website directly to make a purchase. Your prices may be a little bit more competitive, or you may have offers to be able to bring to people that Amazon doesn't. And Amazon's such a huge channel, and it's so important to have visibility there. But there's a lot of brands that like to find customers on Amazon and then eventually convert them into their own customers where they can have a higher margin. So that's really the strategy of a lot of sellers right now. And when you're bringing people to your own site, as you can see here, there's a huge opportunity for people that actually have that purchase intention and leave. So I'm going to highlight a few things that I feel are really, really important in trying to recover as many potential people. The first thing I want to point out is making sure to find a solution that has real-time email capture. Okay, so I have an example of one of our customers up here, mypillow.com. And one of the things you want to make sure you find out before you choose a solution is that they can, in fact, capture that email address in real time. So there's a lot of solutions out there that require someone to advance to the next stage in a purchase process in order to capture that email address and cookie that user. We, however, have the capability of capturing it the second that someone enters their email address. And this is important for several reasons. And the main one is that this is where a lot of people get hung up in the purchase process. A lot of shopping carts are completely different. Some have a multi-stage process, and some are going to be just one long form with the credit card information on the bottom. And so, based on Google Analytics, you can figure out where people are actually leaving the checkout process. But it's super important to have that email address on the top of your form, as close to the top as you can, and also have that real-time email capture. So if I don't get finished with this page and click next at the bottom, that's all right. Your solution has been able to capture your email and then can remarket to you based on what you had specifically in your shopping cart, which is really, really important. So to put some numbers to really what the potential is with recoveries, this is just an example based on averages. So assuming that someone does, let's just for the sake of numbers, say 100 orders every month at $100 checkout average. On average, they do $10,000 in sales a month. So assuming that 75% abandonment rate we talked about on the previous screen, that would be 300 potential orders that are abandoned. And let's just say you have a 15% recovery rate. On average, ours is between 12 and 18. It may be a little bit more, it may be a little bit less, kind of depending on a couple things. Your customer, the types of products you sell, as well as what your order average is. If you have a $3,000 order average, you're usually going to have a little smaller recovery rate. It just kind of works out that way. But assuming a 15% recovery rate, you have 45 more orders that you're processing that month. At a $100 average, that's $4,500 in additional revenue, which at the end of the day, in this example, is a 45% increase in sales. Now, I'm not saying everybody that starts cart abandonment is going to see a 45% increase in sales, but just using this example with some relative averages, it surely is possible. And I've seen customers exceed that by quite a bit. So the potential is necessary, is definitely there, and it's super important to to ensure that you're doing all you can to try to recover all those orders. So the real-time email capture is probably what I think is the most important of anything else. And so looking at the strategies at Reengaging Customers, it's really important to make sure that whatever solution you're using enables you to re-engage those people very dynamically. So you want to be able to personalize those emails specifically with what was inside and included in their shopping cart. That will really help the conversion rate if they're personalized like that. On the left is a cart abandonment email, which is a typical abandonment email if someone gets far enough through the funnel to abandon their cart. And on the right is what we call browse abandonment email. And several solutions also offer this, where you can send an email higher in the flow just based on what someone was browsing on your site. And so the caveat for that is that you do need to capture their email address at some point, even if they don't make it in the flow. So you can do that through several different ways. A newsletter sign up, you could do it through an exit intent pop-up. You can do it through a chat window where you're answering questions. And if you're able to capture and cookie that person, then you can re-engage them earlier in the funnel through that browse abandonment email as well. Now, one thing I will say that's also important is make sure to find a solution that includes an easy way to do A/B split testing. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with what that is, but an A/B split test on an email would be if you've got 100 emails going out, 50 are going to go to are going to be on with one email, and 50 are going to be with a separate email or a separate subject line, and you're going to test the results of both of those back to back. And so a couple different one strategy could be you could be testing subject lines, one versus another, to see which one is going to develop the highest open rate. So that's the first thing to do. You want to have the highest potential open rate to convert as many people. And once you maximize that email open rate, then the next thing to do is to test two completely different emails. So it could be an email similar to the one on the left here, versus an email that's maybe offering a special discount or free shipping or something different and more inclusive than what someone sees on the left-hand side there. So you can test two completely different strategies against each other, and then at the end of the day, see which one is recovering the most revenue. And it's important to do that, and do that semi-regularly to really continue to monitor and drive your results up. And so that's one of the ways that our customers continue to increase their revenue, which at the end of the day is going directly into profit. So the next thing I want to point out real quick is I mentioned just briefly earlier with that browse abandonment email, you can do an exit intent, and there's several different solutions. We offer this. You can also do this through several plugins that different platforms have. But an exit intent plugin would be if I was going to move my mouse off the screen, or if I go to close the tab or maybe open up another tab. This is a good way to engage people before they potentially leave your website. Now, you don't always need to offer anything special. You don't always need to offer a discount or a promotion with an exit intent. You can just simply remind someone of what an existing offer is that you have to try to keep them, and it's a great way to get their email address. And so, as we know, the more email addresses we have, the more people we market to. That's a direct result on what our sales are going to be. So you want to be able to capture those email addresses to be able to engage those people, especially in the strategy, with that browse abandonment email that I mentioned. So super, super important. Now, to take it really to the next level, I mentioned real briefly earlier the SMS messages. So SMS is getting really, really big with a lot of things, but also it's relatively new in the cart abandonment industry, but it's a great way to re-engage people based on their phone numbers and bring them back to their shopping cart, especially for industries that see a good percentage of people who are completing their checkout through their mobile device, because it's obviously a very convenient way to reach people. Most of us spend a good amount of our waking hours on our phones. I know that I do. My wife reminds me of that every day. But it's a real convenient way to reach people, especially in a scenario where they did, for some reason, forget to complete their checkout, and you're providing them with a very, very easy way for them to get back into the checkout sequence. Now, the important thing with SMS text message reminders is that they do have to consent. So you do have to have a checkbox next to their phone number to consent, and that reduces the chance of you bothering people and giving your brand a bad image. If they've consented to it, they might see it and decide to opt out, but at least you're not going to upset them because they did give that consent. At some point they knew they were probably going to get a text from you, and in a lot of cases for people it's more of a convenient way for them to interact than through email anyway. So SMS is huge. Make sure your solution offers that for sure. And then the next one that's also becoming more and more important is desktop push notifications. So this is something that you also authorize. This is an opt-in that you'll see when you go to a website that asks you if it's okay for that site to send you notifications. And this is something that a lot of us see pretty much every day. But now you can also do that with the cart abandonment notification. So if someone leaves something in their cart, you can have that pop-up come on their desktop, which makes it very easy for someone to go back into the site and complete the checkout. So those are two different strategies that are really, really becoming big, and I highly recommend people look for opportunities and for solutions that offer both of those as well. So earlier I mentioned when I used that calculation, I mentioned a 15% recovery rate. And that, I would say, is probably our average. Industry average is going to be a little bit lower than that. We typically see conversion rates between 12 and 18%, and typically people who do that A/B split testing and keep a really good eye on what's working and what's not working can drive that conversion rate up. But it's super, super important to keep your eye on that, and as you're running specials and promotions, to make sure that you're monitoring where your conversion is. Now, this is just a real quick screen. This is a snapshot of one of our customers, MyPillow. I had their example up earlier. This is their 30-day results. Last 30 days, they've recovered little under $1.6 million in revenue. Now, this is a big company. They do some pretty big numbers here. And, especially with large companies like this, a 12% conversion is a huge difference in their sales. So it's super, super important for them to continue to test on it. Now, below the recovery stats on the right-hand side, you'll see email engagement. Email engagements, it's the super, super important number to keep an eye on. Typically, open rates with cart abandonments should be between 30 and 50%. I've seen them higher than that in some scenarios for people who really do some good subject line testing to see what's going to produce the highest open rate. But a higher open rate, like I said earlier, will push into a higher conversion rate, which is just absolutely super, super important. I've also got an example of a customer that does a little smaller business. This is a winery, Justin Winery. And so typically the conversion rates are going to be higher with lower volume, just based on the whole theory of numbers. And they also have a really, really nice email engagement rate of almost 60%, which is really absolutely phenomenal. But make sure whatever solution you choose with cart abandonment, make sure they provide you the capability to split test your emails, make sure they have the real-time email capture, make sure they have the SMS as well as the desktop push notifications, and then make sure they have the capability to view real-time statistics like this to enable you to really stay on top of what type of results you're getting. So, Iba, do you have any questions at this point?
Well, no, I mean, you've done a really great job of, telling us kind of what are some really key elements there when it comes to recovering revenue from those abandoned carts, and all the things that you just mentioned. CartStack does all of those. And so tell us a little bit about, sort of what customers need to do to sort of engage in a conversation with you to help them recover money that's just sitting there on the table.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to help. One of the things that CardStack does is that's unique above and beyond our competitors is that we provide a free trial in advance of even asking someone to sign up for a plan. So we won't take a credit card number before you start. The only thing we want to do is ensure that you get up and set up for success and recover as much revenue as possible. So typically what we do is a free 14-day trial. But what we're doing for Seller Mobile is offering a free 30-day trial. So we're doubling that.
Awesome.
So full 30 days to test drive our solution. You can use all of our campaigns. And we won't start the clock on that trial until you actually recover your first order. So if it takes a week or two to get things set up and get your emails going, totally fine. We want to make sure that for that full 30 days, you're like full speed ahead. We want to make sure you really have a good understanding for the type of revenue we can help you recover in that amount of time. So that's exclusive for Seller Mobile. We'll include a link for that. But if someone just wants to simply email me, I'll take care of you, matt@cardstack.com. Just want to make sure that we have the opportunity to prove those results out first. At the end of the day, if we're able to do that and we can increase your sales by a really good percentage, it's a win-win. It's great for the e-commerce store, and it's also great for us because hopefully we'll have you, as a customer long term.
Perfect. And now, what kinds of e-commerce platforms does CardStack integrate with?
We actually we integrate with almost every single platform out there. There's only a couple that we don't, but most of the platforms we integrate fine with. Some of them we actually have direct plugins with as well. So the best thing to do is just is to contact us, click on the link, or send me an email, and we'll talk through specifics. We like to have a very good. We like to be able to establish a good relationship with our customers and really have a good understanding of their business. So it's not a type of solution where it's a 3-click type integration. We want to get to know you. We want to ensure that our solutions are going to benefit you because there's a lot of things that we can offer above and beyond what you just see on the surface. We offer custom services. We do custom email design for free in advance of your trial. So we really will provide a higher level of service to ensure that you get up and running and get the best possible results as possible.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that I met you at the White Label Conference in Vegas, and that's kind of what this is all about, right? It's about Seller Mobile introducing our customers to industry leaders and service providers who can help them take their business to the next level. And this is exactly what this is doing. Matt, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about cart abandonment and the solutions. And it seems like there's some really good solutions out there. And I would encourage our customers and anyone watching to really to take advantage and to call you guys and see what you can do to help them recover that money.
Absolutely. As we mentioned earlier, it's so important for business owners to really keep an eye on growing all of their channels of their business.
Exactly.
And Seller Mobile does an amazing job of helping people keep a really good eye on their Amazon business and gives them strategies to continue to grow that. And it's also important for eBay sellers to do the same thing,
right,
as well as people who have their own e-commerce sites to continue to grow every single channel. At the end of the day is what really produces a good long-term scalable model.
Absolutely. Matt, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Ditto. Thanks, Simba.